Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going over the entirety of the Walking Dead comic universe timeline. This timeline that I have come up with myself is my interpretation of the timeline. There are other timelines out there that you can find that'll be all over the place, but this one that I have here that I typed up myself is basically, it has everything in it, and I put it to fit the story the best way that it could. Some things could be off and other things could be way off. Like they could be off a little bit by like one or two different like months maybe, or an entire year. It gets really mucked up when there is a time jump in the comics, because in that time jump you have two Telltale games go down. You have three actually that go down, which is a little weird. And also there's always some differences. Like in the books it says it's been 6 years in the timeline, but the books end before the comics, and the 6 year timeline just doesn't add up with the timeline of the comics itself. So everything is kind of twisted and timelines get retconned all the time. So let's start here. So the first thing that you are going to want to watch is the No Going Back video. This video has Sandra and Clementine in it. It was like a little promo for season 1 of the Telltale game. It's like a minute and a half long. You can search it up on YouTube and you should be able to find it there. It's called No Going Back, or you can search up Sandra/Clementine video. Next up, we have a short story called The Night the World Ended. This is based on James, who you meet James in season 4 of the Telltale series. It's season 4, episode 2, I believe. He's the Whisperer that you meet in there. So that just shows the backstory of him, and I believe his boyfriend is in it. And that shows the start of like their point of view of the start of everything. Then we have the Saints and Sinners cinematic trailer. This could be placed anywhere pretty much because it takes place over multiple times. I just placed it at the beginning because the majority of it is at the beginning of the outbreak. Next, we have our first comic. That is Here's Negan. You're going to want to read that whole thing. I don't have it split up where it's like, oh, you read page 1 of issue number 30 and then you go to the Telltale game. I don't do that. I just did the whole comic in one. It's a lot easier that way. So Here's Negan is the next one. Right after that would be Vince from the Telltale 400 Days special. You would play Vince first. He takes place, I think, on day 7, I believe, or it could be, I think it's earlier than that even. But you have Vince next. His 400 Days story takes place then. Following that, you want to play season 1, episode 1, A New Day of the Telltale series. This is about Lee and his finding Clementine and taking care of her. Right after that, we have the Supernatural Skeptics Guide to New Orleans podcast. You can search that up and find it on YouTube. It's about 50 minutes long. It's pretty good. You don't have to listen to it on the normal rate. Just put it on like 1.5 speed and you'll be able to capture everything. That also takes place within like the first day as well. The first 7 things listed here are on like day 1. All right, next up, we have the Michonne special. This is a one-shot that was released right after All Out War came out. It's about 6 pages. You can find it in the free comic book day issue if you can get your hands on that. If not, you can search up the Walking Dead wiki. They should have all 6 pages on there for that. Following the Michonne special, you will read the first novel, Rise of the Governor. This takes place within the first couple of days as well, and it shows the governor's journey through Atlanta. Yeah, he's in Atlanta in this. And it also shows what he does to certain places that we see in the comics, specifically issue 8 in the comics. It's issue 7 and 8 in the comics. We see what, I forget what it's called, the Wiltshire Estates. There's a sign outside that says, "All dead do not enter." The governor actually puts that up there, and you will find that out if you read the book. Right after the book, you want to read the short story, Just Another Day at the Office. This is just a little prologue of Rise of the Governor. Then right after that, you can read the Alien comic. This is about Jeffrey Grimes, Rick Grimes' brother. This takes place in Spain. In my opinion, I'm not a fan of this one. The art is different from all the other comics, and I think the story's kind of meh, but it is canon, so you should still read it. Right after that, you can read the Tyreese special. This is the same thing as the Michonne special. You should be able to find it in the free comic book day if you have that. If not, go on to the Walking Dead wiki. Right after that, we have the Overkill character trailers. This is for Overkill's The Walking Dead game that got canceled a while ago. You will be able to find this on YouTube, but you'll only be able to find it on YouTube. You can't play the game anymore because they removed it from the store. It's a shame that it got canceled, but it was a pretty bad game. But you should be able to find the cinematic character trailers. They all take place within the first couple of days. And now we finally get to the main part. The main thing. The Walking Dead issue number 1 to number 4. This is... It leads up from like when Rick's getting shot to... I think Glenn and Rick get out of Atlanta the second time that they go in. After issue 4, you will play Wyatt's story in 400 days. And then, from after 400 days of Wyatt's story, you will play Season 1, Episode 2 to Episode 5 of the Telltale series. You will get that whole season out of the way right there. Right after that, we go back to the books. We read The Road to Woodbury. And this introduces Lily Cole and a couple other characters. This book's pretty good. This was like the last good one with the governor, which is... It's a shame because it was the second one out of 8 books about Woodbury. Right after that book, you're going to want to read the Governor special. And then right after that, you can get to issues number 5 to 6. After issue 6, you want to read the Morgan special. This shows Morgan and Dwayne during the wintertime, during Christmas. It's a really good issue that you should read. It's on Walking Dead Wiki. It's also found at the back of Book 1 hardcover of the Walking Dead comic and Compendium 1 and in the free comic book day. After the Morgan special, you want to read issues number 7 to 12. So that's the entirety of volume 2 that you will read next. Right after that, you have the Russell 400 Days story and then the Typhoon novel, which I'm currently reading. It's really good so far. I have it right there. That's really good. It takes place in China. Then after that, you will play Bonnie, 400 Days, and then issues number 13 to 24. So that's 2 issues, or 2 volumes right there. And then after that, Shel, the 400 Days, and then issues 25 to 30. And then Overkill's Walking Dead game. Overkill's Walking Dead game, you will be able to find the cinematics and the just all the cutscenes. That's all you need to watch. You don't need to watch the gameplay. The gameplay is not that good. The cutscenes aren't even that good either. It's like an hour long total from what I could find. There's probably more out there. But yeah, you can just search up Overkill's Walking Dead gameplay or cinematics and watch all of that there. Right after that, you will read issues 31 to 36, and then we go back to the Woodbury novels, and you will read Fall of the Governor, Part 1, and then we do a jump back to issues 37 to 48, and then we go back to the novels to finish off the Governor arc, The Fall of the Governor, Part 2. Following Fall of the Governor, Part 2, you will read issues 49 to 54 of the main series, and then we will go back to the novels to read Descent, which is the aftermath of the prison as well. And then we'll go back to the Walking Dead comic, issues 55 to 66. And then we jump back to the novels again to Invasion. And then, right after that, we go to the 400 Days main. So this is 400 days in now. So this is when we're playing as Octavia and convincing people to go along with you. After the 400 Days main, we read issues 67 to 72, and then we read the short story Alone Together. You can find this in the Living Dead 2 book, or you should be able to find it online. It's like 16 pages. It's really good. I love it a lot. The character development is really good in there. Right after you read the short story, you want to read issues 73 to 90 of the comic, and then after that, you would you should play Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 and Saints and Sinners Aftershocks. That is the VR game. I personally haven't played it, so my placement there could be wrong. This is what I just could find from searching the internet and comparing and contrasting multiple people's timelines across each other. After Aftershocks, you want to read issues 91 to 126. That's the entirety of the Negan arc and all the Saviors and All Out War. Now, this is where there is a big time jump, so my timeline could be a little iffy here. So after issue 126, you want to play Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. That's also the VR game. That's the follow-up to the first one. And then after that, you want to play Telltale's Season 2, Episode 1 to Episode 5. And then Telltale's Michonne game, which is 3 episodes. It's a couple hours. It's an all-right game. And then you want to play Telltale's Season 3, Episode 1 to Episode 5, all of A New Frontier. Right after you're done playing A New Frontier, you read, I think it's the final novel. No, it's the second to last novel. It's Search and Destroy. This is the 7th novel for the Woodbury arc. Right after that, we have, it's basically almost the rest of the comics. It's issues 127 to 174. So that's a big portion of the comic that you'll get out of the way there. Right after 174, you want to read the final novel of Woodbury, that is The Return to Woodbury. That book is god-awful. I hated it so much. Right after that novel, you want to play Telltale's Season 4, Episode 1 to Episode 4, that entire season, the final season of Clementine's story. Then right after that, you want to read the short story of How I Protected Clem. That just explains the ending a bit more of Episode 4. And then right after that, you can read issues 175 to 192 of the comic. That gives us to our last 2 points here. Negan lives, and then issue 193. So there's 55 different points of the timeline that I have labeled here. All of this will be in the description that you can look at. If you have any questions, please let me know. Come back to this video and check out the description if you are interested in going through the timeline that I set up. I will be doing a timeline on the TV show shortly after this video is released, so stay tuned for that one if you're also a fan of the show. I will see all of you in the next video. See ya. I forgot to mention the Clementine comics. Those are not canon. Now that's it. I'll see you in the next video. See ya.